You're listening to CreepGeeks Podcast. Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/CheapGeek. So it begins again. Welcome back to the CreepGeeks Podcast. This is episode number 155.
Top 9 paranormal news and events of 2019. Number 6, Zak Bagans' Murder House Museum of Bad Stuff.
Yeah. So here we are again. Welcome back to the CreepGeeks Podcast. Top 9 paranormal news and events of 2019. Number 6. All right. So anyway, this podcast is about what?
The CreepGeeks Podcast is an offbeat news podcast that takes a lighthearted approach to the paranormal, cryptid, strange, the silly, and trending tech topics circulating the web. Broadcasting paranormal news and fun stories from our underground bunker in the mountains of western North Carolina.
Yes. All right. So anyway, getting that out of the way, this podcast is about the stuff that we find to be interesting. And this particular podcast, this whole 9-episode mini-series, mini-holiday series, holiday mini-series, if you will, is about what everybody else thought to be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So we should say, just like we said last episode, if you did listen to the last episode, thank you very much. But if you haven't listened to the last episode, and this is your very first episode, we should say welcome. I'm Greg.
I'm Omi.
And we should go back and say that the episodes that we have, the subjects that are popular are out of order. They're in no particular order, so don't get all worked up if you're like, Zak Bagans, why is he number 6? It's not like that, man. It's all right, just be cool.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get yourself all worked up. It's the holidays.
Which is why we're doing these.
Yeah, because a lot of podcasts and, YouTubers and stuff like that, they take breaks over the holidays.
Entertainment in general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not doing that. So what we decided to do is put out a series of short podcasts. Short for us because our typical podcast is about an hour and 30 plus minutes, and try to make these as close to 30 as possible, as in minutes. Now, our last podcast, we did not do that at all. It was like 45 minutes later. I'm like, oh man, we gotta wrap this up.
Nessie to red-haired giants in the Americas.
Yes.
So, yeah.
If you know any red-haired giants and you'd like to contact us and tell us a story, we have a phone number for that.
That phone number is going to be 575-208-4025.
Yes. And if you'd like to share a story on Facebook, we have a Facebook group for that.
Yes, it's CreepGeeks Facebook group.
Yes. And we also have a website.
CreepGeeks.com.
Yes, we have a contact form that you can click on and fill out, and that's good. We have Instagram. Twitter. And another Facebook page thing. We have a group and a page.
Official page, and that's where you can like and follow the page so you can get updates on when we release new podcast episodes, events we're going to, or interesting news that we may talk about or haven't talked about.
Yeah, and we also have a YouTube channel. If you search for Creep Geeks, you'll find it, where we take this particular podcast right here in all of its audio glory and put it on YouTube.
Yeah.
So that you can stare at a picture of our logo and just let the audio play for however long it takes.
Well, you don't stare. That's
what?
Like, I'll play something on YouTube if it's just audio, and I'll just sweep or work on a project or something like that.
Click away, open up another tab and do some other stuff.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah. You could do that. You can listen to this podcast while you're out there cutting the grass.
True.
Or sweeping the stoop. Or whatever it is you got to do. Where you're like, I don't really need to think about things too much. I just need to do this repetitive task and
Well, everybody up north, they're shoveling snow. Lucky
or
them.
if you have a classic car maybe in the garage and you're like, I think this weekend I'm going to go out there and sand on it for a while because I'm going to make it ready for paint in the springtime. you can play this podcast.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. You can play this podcast while you're getting a haircut.
Okay.
Well, you could. I don't know if I would, though. They might ask you questions. Like, is this good? And you're like, what? Yeah, that's great. Give me a haircut. Anyway, this is a CreepGeeks Podcast. We're going to kick this off, and normally we go through and tell you how to support the show, but we kind of just did that. But we do have a link, though. If you'd like to support the show, and you don't really want to do a whole lot, and you have the goal of buying stuff off Amazon, you can certainly do that, too. We have an affiliate link.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we're affiliated. And if you buy stuff off Amazon using our link, we get a small percentage. Doesn't change your price at all. Helps support the show. Helps us keep gas flowing and coffee in the albino rhino.
That's not the way.
Little dog snacks, for our paranormal pepper. So she can get a paranormal puppuccino from old
Paranormal Starbucks.
Paranormal Starbucks. So, I mean, that is a lot of times when we travel, we will go to Starbucks just because they do give out little crappuccinos to little puppies.
They're puppuccinos, and it's basically a small serving size, like sample cup with whipped cream in it, and it's the house whipped cream, so it's the good whipped cream. But sometimes you go, and the really nice people give you a full-size cup, which is more than Pepper needs, but we appreciate how nice y'all are.
Yeah, come out with like a venti, or I don't even know. You know what? Starbucks and their sizes can go to hell because I can never figure them out. It's like, just give me a big giant cup of coffee. I don't want one that's been stirred or swizzled with a twig or a fruity branch or anything like that. I just want a cup of coffee.
Well, the rest of us do.
It should be strong, right? Because I want strong coffee. And I don't want it to taste like a season. And I don't want it to taste like a Christmas present or potpourri or any of that garbage. I just want a cup of coffee. I'm a full-grown man. I want coffee.
So you complimented them, and then you just...
Yes, this is what people do in their holidays, right? Like, oh, happy holidays. It's so good to see you.
Well, I appreciate
Oh, you look like you've been eating well.
Starbucks.
What the hell does that mean? I've been eating well. So
I appreciate Starbucks, and so does Pepper.
Well,
but
if they really want to appreciate, anyway.
You can always check our affiliate link. It'll be in the show notes for the podcast. Otherwise, while you're listening right now, you can go to amazon.com/shop/cheapgeek.
Yes. Very nice.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about Zak Bagans.
Okay.
Okay, so the reason why he's in there is because he did a couple things over 2019. Which made it pretty interesting. And, say what you will about Zak Bagans. People love him. People hate him. People like to make fun of him. The dude's got bank, man.
That's true.
He's doing his thing. He's rolling out there. He's seizing the opportunities. He's doing what he can, to try to keep up with he wants to be successful. And he's kind of doing it. So a lot of people hate on him a little bit. And rightfully so, because you can't be possessed every single episode. You know what I mean? But he's doing something to sort of guarantee his little future there.
Yeah, it's business acumen.
Yeah.
Yes.
So he's got some drive to him, and I can hear you clicking away, and you're going to say that he was on Wheel of Fortune where he was a little skinny guy. And he was. But here's what Zak Bagans did to make this list, this top 9 paranormal list,
technically,
of events in 2019, because there were several of them. And since there were several of these things that he's done, and we'll talk about them in just a second, I figured we'd just roll them up in there together because it kind of makes sense. Because he's pretty... When he does stuff, he makes the news.
Yeah, so because he made the news multiple times, instead of putting him multiple times in our top 9...
We would just figure we'd just get him out of the way. So, I mean, I don't have any, ill will or anything towards Zak. I think that, a lot of what he does is, I think he is what he is. He's from Vegas. Not originally, but he's from Vegas, and there's a little show going on, and I think that, remember, what was that guy's name, that magician guy that would go around and kind of look like, they all sort of look the same. They all they all wear black and they all look extreme. Chris Angel.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You're like just on the verge of being a douchebag, these guys. You know what I mean? Yeah. So anyway, he does his thing. His show is popular. People like it. Still one of the, top paranormal shows on TV. He's been doing it for a long time. Got to give him that. And one of the things that he's done this year, right?
Yeah.
was he bought the Sharon Tate murder house.
Which is awful, but wow. Yeah.
That's the big thing, though. We've actually met people who have bought like haunted houses and stuff, and they give you the tours. You know, you can go and people buy these as investments, and they open up the tours and things like that to make income. I mean, we've been to a couple of these different conferences, conventions, and we've talked to a couple of people who've done exactly that.
Yeah, like CryptidCon, we met 2 different groups. Yeah.
So, and there's also the traveling museum, the haunted traveling museum that Greg and Dana Newkirk have. I probably completely butchered what it's called. I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head. Is it the traveling museum of the weird, the haunted?
No.
Haunted weird? Anyway, we can't really call them Hellier people because
Traveling Museum of the Paranormal and Occult.
There we go. Traveling Museum of the Paranormal and Occult. Greg and Dana Newkirk, they have it where they have haunted objects and stuff, and they take them around, and they do the little conventions depending on where they go, and so it's a thing. Haunted object acquisition became sort of, I think, pretty popular in 2019.
Actually,
no, you're going to lose this argument.
Well, because the Divik box, and then there's that big Divik box craze back in like 2018.
Yeah, but that wasn't really a craze. There's only like 4 people of popularity at the bottom. But I'm talking about the haunted object acquisition that's been going on with the Haunted Museum.
Yeah.
With Zak Bagans. He's been buying stuff for a long time.
That's true.
To make the museum. Yeah. Every time he buys something, it makes the news.
Yeah.
So, just because you bought a Divik box doesn't mean you're going to make the news.
Because
he bought one, and guess what? Made the news.
Yeah.
So, and he also had that rapper fella.
Yeah.
Was interested in doing the paranormal stuff with him too. I can't think of that guy's name.
But also, he didn't buy some shady Divik box off eBay and get frauded, which was what was coming to mind for me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so nobody knows that story. So.
Well, no, because people as haunted objects became more popular, there were a lot of knockoffs going on.
Well, yeah, of course. But my point was, to kind of circle back to it, is that it became popular this year because of him. We do research and we see where lots of people have bought these things, and so it's not a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
The average person has no idea. But if you said, hey, Zak Bagans bought the Sharon Tate murder house, right? Zak Bagans opened up a haunted museum.
Oh, yeah.
Zak Bagans has been buying stuff like, it works from all the serial killers and all that crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Their chances are they will have heard of that. Primarily because TMZ, right?
Yeah.
They pump anything he does is put out there. And so.
But that's the other thing.
That's my entire point. Yeah. Because just because you bought a bunk Divik box off of eBay doesn't make you're going to make the top list of 2019, because if you do a search for Zak Bagans on Google, he pops all through Google about buying haunted stuff.
Yeah.
That's why he's on the list. So stop trying to railroad me off into some other Neverland.
I'm not.
Because we need to talk about some of the stuff that he's bought.
Okay.
What you could be doing is looking up that rapper guy's name and that's a story that I was going to actually talk about on a different episode. The rapper guy, I cannot think of his name anyway, has been hanging around Zak Bagans. And when you talk about the Divik box, Zak Bagans actually took the glass off the Divik box, right? It touched it. And then the rapper guy touched him and has had nothing but bad luck for a period of time. And it's a story that can go on for like 40 minutes.
Post Malone.
That's his name, Post Malone. I don't know anything about Post Malone. So that dude, and there's video of when he touches him, and it's like he was like in a plane crash. There was had all sorts of weird problems after, because he wanted to be like a paranormal investigator, and Zak Bagans was like, man, he could totally be a paranormal investigator. He's into it.
His plane malfunctioned.
Well, that's okay.
Car crash. And then armed men stormed his old home shouting his name, looking for him.
Yeah, so he's had like a run of bad luck.
Yeah.
So he thought he's been cursed, and he won't go back because he was hanging out with him and stuff. And evidently, he's like, I'm not going back there.
And then, wow. He saw a black figure emerge from the museum after him.
Yeah.
Oh no.
And see, he's into this kind of thing. So, he's attuned to it, and he's looking for it, and he's seeing it. So it's been sort of a thing.
Yeah.
And see, I was going to talk about that in another podcast, like celebrity, brushes with whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's just funny because there is a video and you watch Zak Bagans touch the Dybbuk box and then Post Malone touches him and then runs away. And after that, man, he's had a run of bad luck, if you will. So he thinks he's cursed. But I don't know anything about Post Malone other than people, from what I've seen, he seems like he's a genuinely nice guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, and he likes the paranormal, and he wears his glasses upside down on his nose sometimes, and I don't know why.
It's fashion, sweetie.
I guess. But, okay, so Zak Bagans made the news when he bought the Sharon Tate murder house, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as it came up for market, he bought it quick because, he bought it for $1.98 million. And that's pretty close to the asking price for this house.
Yeah, like he just put in the straight bid.
Yeah, and he's been in there, and he's been to the neighbor's house. So, I mean, he's familiar with it. And as soon as it came up, he jumped on it.
Wow.
Because the house is owned by Leno and Rosemary LaBianca, right?
Yeah.
They're the couple that were murdered by the Manson family. Rosemary was stabbed 41 times, Leno 12. Happened in August of 1969.
Mm-hmm.
And this came the day after the Manson family murders slaughtered Sharon Tate and 4 others. So it was a terrible thing that happened.
Yeah.
And it sent shockwaves throughout Los Angeles community, right?
Yeah.
So according to TMZ, and I don't know how, I don't know how credible these guys are, but he allegedly bought the house for $1.98 million. He went and checked out the house, made the offer. It'll close in early September because the realtor was saying he was smart to do it because there was already multiple backup offers to buy the house.
Hmm.
I'm pretty sure that most of the multiple backup offers, maybe a couple of those were people wanting to be able to do celebrity tours, that kind of thing, to do this, put this haunted object tour thing into motion.
Yeah.
But he got it with a quickness. So, and they call in that dark culture. You can be a collector of dark culture now.
But remember last year we started watching dark tourism?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like now they're just referring to it instead of saying paranormal or things like that.
Because, whenever you say paranormal to the public like that, you're a nut job. Seriously.
Yeah.
That's why you don't say a cult. Because there's a whole group of people out there that are like, oh my God, a cult means the devil.
But see, that's the thing though. Out here in Western North Carolina, you can say dark culture, you can say occult. It means that it has the same reaction. So dampening the effect by saying dark culture really doesn't work here.
Yeah, but it works other places
I know.
too. I mean,
So
he's a collector of dark culture. He bought the house, right?
Yeah.
He says that almost everything inside is original. That's one of the main things that attracted him to the house. The house is 1,600 square feet, has 2 bedrooms, 2 baths, and it has explosive city views.
Well, that's the thing. If you didn't know.
It's a small house. It's not very large at all.
Yeah. But if you didn't know it was, the Tate house, it's a very charming house.
Yeah, but there's no way I would pay $1.98 million for that.
Well, it's California. So.
I get it. I mean, when I left California in 99, the housing market started to explode.
Yeah.
Watched houses that would go for about $158,000, which is relatively reasonable, jump to $258,000, $358,000, $500,000.
Yeah.
And they were they nothing changed. It's just the market changed.
Yeah.
And we actually talked to that gentleman at the the Western Pennsylvania Conference on the Unexplained. He came up. He was one of the first people that came up and started talking to us. Remember that guy? Well, I do. Because he was a sonar tech like me.
Oh, yeah.
He's in California like me.
Yeah.
Basically bought a house while he was there. And as soon as his son went off to college, he immediately sold the house and took all that money and moved somewhere dirt cheap. And we had a lot in common, lot in common. I mean, and so it was funny that we talked for a while and we had all these synchronicities about the past and stuff. And it was pretty funny. So anyway, so if everything is original in this house and the house is pretty much the way it was, I mean, it's a museum. It's a time capsule.
Yeah.
Really. Yeah, I don't know. But he doesn't say what he's going to do with the house, but he says it has a storied history beyond just the Manson murders.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Dogs have mysteriously disappeared from the property, and occupants have been freaked out over what they say is paranormal activity.
Okay.
And that's pretty much the extent of the TMZ article. Right?
Yeah.
Which really is about the extent of the entire thing that came out. It's like, it came on the market. He bought it with a quickness. It wasn't on the market like hardly at all. Like, boom. And he got it. And the sale was, happened just close after the 50th year anniversary of the murders. So, yeah. And this basically came out around the same time the Once Upon a Time in America, in Hollywood movie came out with Brad Pitt, Leonardo DiCaprio. It's a Quentin Tarantula movie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, see, I don't know if we're allowed to say Hollywood stars here, so we're doing like the great value method. You ever see like pictures? You got like a picture of like, I don't know, like Keanu Reeves, and then a picture of, what's his face?
Adam Driver.
Adam Driver next to each other. It was like Keanu Reeves and then great value Keanu Reeves.
I still like the picture of Jason Momoa, and it says like name brand, and then it says Dollar General.
Yeah.
Jason Momoa, and it's like Aquaman, and it's just some dude.
Just some fat guy in the yeah. But yeah, anyway, okay, so Quentin Tarantino film, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood came out, and it had Brad Pitt, and it's got Leo DiCaprio in there.
Yeah.
And, so the timing was right. Just after the 50th anniversary of the murders, the movie came out, and he bought it. He's on it. So it actually made the news, and we seen it. It's like, oh, okay. And then what else made the news was, right?
Yeah.
He's bought other things because he's been trying to make this museum. But one of the things that happened in the museum was what?
He had to close the haunted rocking chair exhibit.
Yeah. And there's
apparently too much creepy stuff is happening on camera. And it doesn't necessarily have to be when there's visitors to the museum.
Right.
So, but Zak Bagans has been forced to shut down his haunted rocking chair exhibit, and the devil may have made him do it. Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. The Ghost Adventure star tells TMZ the exhibit's closure at his famous haunted museum in Vegas comes on the heels of several people experiencing paranormal activity on May 28th, the opening night of the exhibit and a month after buying the Devil's Rocking Chair.
Yeah.
The chair has ties to famed paranormal investigator Lorraine Warren and the notorious Devil Made Me Do It case. There's a video embedded in the article. We'll put links to the article in the show notes. But 20 minutes before the first group tour visited, Zach and a friend noticed the door to the chair's room slowly creak open all by itself. Zach also says a light focused on the chair went out when a power cord was mysteriously yanked out of the wall. 2 hours later, he said a woman collapsed, began bawling, and asked, "Why is this happening to me?" Shortly thereafter, she fell unconscious. According to Zach, who adds the woman was upstairs directly above the rocking chair exhibit. 5 of his tour guides throughout the museum started crying uncontrollably.
Yep.
After just a few tours on opening night, Zach says the stress was too much and forced him to shut down altogether for the evening. For now, he says the haunted rocking chair exhibit is closed until further notice. As we first reported on TMZ, Zach dropped $67,000 for the chair.
Yep.
What? Wow. Okay. It's the focal point to the horror book believed to be the plot of The Conjuring 3 with Vera Farmiga returning as Lorraine Warren. So.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is where it kind of ties in with Post Malone.
Yeah.
He's like, we know who won't be there when and if Zach reopens the chair exhibit. That's his pal, Post Malone.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's not the only exhibit he's basically shut down.
Yeah.
Or the only part of it. Because the museum is made up of all these artifacts, right? We'll just call them artifacts. These dark object sort of artifacts. I mean, he's got like Charles Manson's bone fragments. I mean, he buys like serial killer stuff. So he's got all this, evil, what could be considered evil stuff in there.
And he has that whole section devoted just to serial killers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's got like artwork from John Wayne Gacy. I was going to say Edgar Casey. I don't know, but John Wayne. Yeah. So that made the news. I mean, he opened up his museum and it already had to start shutting things down because of haunted activity, right? Mm-hmm. And he said the reason why he got the place is the place is supposed to be haunted already. So he's just concentrating all this stuff in there. So that's another reason why he's on this list, is because this museum opens up, and not only is the museum a big deal and people really like it and it's rated really well and travel things for Las Vegas, but he's had problems there, allegedly. But whether you believe in what he believes in or whether you think he's a douchebag or whatever, when something starts to happen like that and people are involved, he'll shut it down quickly.
Yeah.
Whereas I think that there are some people out there that the first thing they would have did is be like, we need to capitalize on this. Let's bring more people in there. He'll shut it down.
Yeah.
And lock it away. Like the Dybbuk box, when they got that, it was going to be a primary focal point. It's like as soon he said, because they did like this little tour thing. As soon as it came in, he knew he needed to put it away.
Yeah.
You know, it's surrounded with salt. It's got all sorts of protective stuff going on.
Which
even the power to the room is like anything that can supply that room energy he doesn't have in there. It's weird, man.
Which is commendable, but then also with some caution, I wonder about the museum in the sense that, okay, you have this concentration of negative items, whether they're haunted or they're associated with some bad thing in history or bad person in history. If you keep collecting all those negative things in one spot, regardless of how much salt you put down, isn't that going to cause some problems?
I don't know. Do you believe any of this stuff?
Some.
Add the intention to it. I don't know.
You know, I mean, and like,
he thinks so. If you have a museum and these objects you're paying all this money for. Yeah. You know, you think that, you'd want to get people to go in there and look at it. I mean, if something, as crazy is happening, you should capitalize on that, right?
Yeah. Well, like, okay, so.
But I mean, he's not doing that. I mean, he shuts things down, but I think he tries to put protective measures in place.
And see, we don't know, because mainstream media only focuses on certain aspects for the museum. Some of us in the paranormal community don't know enough. Like, sure, the Dybbuk box has all those protections. Yeah. But what about, the serial killer exhibit? Did somebody put special stones near that to help that?
I don't know. I mean, probably not. And, here's the thing, too. Yeah. Exactly how much of his knowledge is real knowledge. Yeah. Because, a lot of people are like, why is he even doing that? Why would he go in there and try to investigate and incite and provoke and all that sort of thing? You really shouldn't be doing that. And you never see him smudge and all this other crazy stuff. So it's like, does he even know? Or does he not know? I mean, who knows? But all I know is that he seemed there to be an issue and he shut it down.
Okay.
So you got to give him that. So I don't think he's really out to hurt anybody. And I think he just comes across as like an extreme ghost hunter. Right.
Yeah.
And that can be a little douchey at times, but so he's got this haunted rocking chair, paid $6,000-$7,000 for. He bought the Sharon Tate Murder Museum house, because that's probably what it's going to be. $1.98 million, right? His haunted museum opened up, and I think that thing is like what, $27 a ticket or $47 a ticket, and he's got all these objects in there. That's pretty crazy. That made the news too. He bought Charles Manson's bones.
Yeah.
I wonder how much he paid for that.
$44 for a ticket.
I thought you were going to say he just paid $44 for his bones.
No.
He's got Manson's bone fragments in his museum. That's something crazy.
Yeah, I can't. The particular article I found didn't have the price. So
yeah, nobody really. I don't know. Who knows, right?
Yeah.
But here's one of the reasons why I'm like, okay, let's just give him his own section. He spent $310,000 for props.
Which.
Hold on.
Yeah.
I'm not saying this is a bad thing. You act like it's no. Yeah. From Ghostbusters.
Which I'm actually really glad.
So the thing about this is that you can find all these articles on TMZ, and every article they have with Zak, right, and about Zak, he has the same stupid look on his face. It's just, it doesn't do him any justice, right?
Yeah.
So he likes Ghostbusters, so he bought $310,000 worth of Ghostbuster props. So he's trying to bring them to his museum.
Yeah.
So he dropped a big stack of cash for this ghost trap, right?
Mm-hmm.
And other Ghostbusters stuff. He spent $310,000 for Ghostbusters memorabilia. He's got the hero ghost trap used to capture Slimer and Gozer. He's got a bunch of the props and costumes that Harold Ramis used, right?
Yeah.
And this, in the 1984 movie, which is Egon Spengler's jumpsuit with the utility belt, the boots, and he's got a proton pack shell.
Huh.
And the ghost trap itself, he paid $230,000 alone for that.
And then the rest that's wow.
It's like remote control, so it opens up and does all that stuff you can do by remote control. That's pretty neat.
But see, I'm actually really glad about that because
Dave is a big fan of Harold Ramis, so
Ghostbusters was a movie the original ones were a movie that a lot of us are nostalgic about and we do appreciate.
Yeah.
And what happens is over time, some of these movies, the props and some of the stuff from them go to private collections.
Oh, yeah.
And eventually over time, those private collections are either lost or something else happens to them. If he wants to bring these to the museum, I'm all for that because at least it'll be in the public eye and there'll be a destination people can go to enjoy them.
Yeah.
So,
and it's like we talked about in one of our earlier podcasts, it's like how much do you think Ghostbusters, the original Ghostbusters, had an influence on people today wanting to do paranormal investigations and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Because they were busting ghosts, man. You know what I mean? So it was, as much as it was a comedy, it was at the time, it was a pretty unique sort of movie.
Yeah.
Because there were comedy ghost type things, but they weren't anything like that. So it was good. I seen it. I enjoyed it, but yeah. And he even has Sharon Tate's wedding dress.
Ugh.
Yeah. So he's got $310,000 worth of Ghostbusters memorabilia there because he's a big fan, big Spengler fan there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Charles Manson's bones. He bought the murder house, right? Sharon Tate murder house. The haunted rocking chair, making people sick. Get museum, got all fired up and ready to roll. So 2019 was a pretty good year for him, I think. And he made the news multiple times because of this. And that's why he is on our top 9 paranormal news and events of 2019, number 6, which is Zak Bagans' Murder House Museum of Bad Stuff.
Yeah.
Of destruction. Yeah. I had to throw that in there.
I know. I was just, there's no price as far as the Manson bones.
Yeah, and it probably wouldn't be because I don't know how legal that would be.
Well, he went directly to Manson's grandson, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Is he Manson's grandson or is he the grandson that claims to be Manson's grandson?
I don't know.
There's a little weirdness going on with
Really?
that. So, yeah, but, since I'm not really a big fan of Charles Manson, not going to give him the time of day.
Okay.
So, there you go. If he wants to put his bones in there, go for it. But other than that, I could, whatever. Mm-hmm. So, but as we get ready to round out the podcast and finish up this episode of our top 9 paranormal news and events of 2019, number 6, and we kind of talk about Zak Bagans there buying stuff. This was something that kind of came up and I thought was pretty interesting. Sort of kind of put it in here so you can think about it for a second. Remember the UFO poster, X-Files?
Of course.
I want to believe, that kind of thing, or believe, so triggered off that whole sort of thing.
Yeah.
Well, the actual UFO photos that were made famous by the X-Files series went up for auction.
Huh.
And this is from the New York Post, where it basically talks about, the images that were used to help sort of create that poster, right?
Yeah.
And it came from, you remember we actually watched the documentary on this cat? I don't know if you remember it because it was, I'll be honest with you, it was kind of boring, but I may have fallen asleep when I watched it. Okay, so you remember these photos were taken and made famous, and there's a little bit of ambiguity with this too. Okay, so you have a gentleman named Billy Edward Albert Meyer. So the Billy Meyer story, right, is basically he communicated with UFOs And I think it was the Pleiadians actually, talked to him all the time for I think 50 years worth of experiences. It was crazy. And there's a documentary on Netflix. You can watch it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So these photos that he took, some of them went missing, so they're part of a collection. And basically there was some sort of like little thing going on here about like, hold on a second, where did these pictures come from? Are these the missing pictures? Did somebody's, whatever. But the poster that's seen in the office of FBI Special Agent Fox Mulder, which is played by David Duchovny.
Yeah.
Right. That poster was created around one of the images that Billy Myers took. So allegedly that picture is a real picture. These are real UFOs, and there was a bunch of pictures, right? So the auction includes 2 of Myers' photos used in the series trailers of the 2016 reboot of the show. One image is part of a set of 7 vintage chromogenic prints made by Meyer in Switzerland in 1976, and they're also supposed to basically be kind of valued around $6,000 to $9,000.
Yeah,
6 to 9, not 69. And there's another image that was used in the trailer reboot of that show, talking about X-Files, and it's part of a 4 vintage chromogenic print set. Yeah. Also done in Switzerland, and this time in 1975. And those were worth $4,000 to $6,000. And in that set is the one where you see the UFO, right, above the trees, where it says, where it's been cropped, it says, "I want to believe," you know? Yeah, so that's the one. Huh. So if you were a super duper X-Files fan and all that sort of thing, that would be the photo you want to get.
Yeah, actually.
Yeah. I mean, I would not, I mean, they're remarkable if they're real, of course, but they're kind of neat looking, but that would be the one I would want. So I don't know how that set of 2 would go for $4,000 to $6,000 when a set of, 4. Well, I don't know why. Here's what I don't know. I don't know why that picture isn't valued more.
Yeah.
Because if you're like, this is the one that was in X-Files, this is the poster, based off of this picture right here in this lot. You think somebody would want to spend like $15,000 for it.
Well, they did.
Is that how much it sold for?
So an update.
Because I never had the update. I couldn't,
Yeah. The original snapshot and more than a dozen others just sold at a Sotheby's auction, with one collection of 6 photos going for $16,250.
Okay. So.
Yeah. But that says, one set of photos. It's not saying the rest. And that's the only update I could find.
Yeah. Because that was the thing. It was like, hold on a second. Yeah.
But,
so the whole thing was supposed to be valued between $6,000 to $9,000. But the poster picture, I think would go more. And I don't even know what size pictures these are. They're probably like little 3x5s.
They look small on one of these.
Yeah. Chromogenic prints, so they're not, huge.
Yeah.
But the cool thing is, on the New York Post's website, if you want to and you want to go there and you want to check it out, you can certainly do that. We have a link that we put in our show notes. But if you click on the image itself, it blows it up so you can actually see it, and you can right-click it and do whatever you want with it. So they've had to have done that on purpose. Why would you take a picture, right, that just sold at auction, valued at this or whatever, and you put a small thumbnail-sized image, right, in your article, and then when you click on it, it blows up to like desktop size. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you look at so if you find that picture and that's the one that you want, and you click on it and you open it up in a new tab, it's pretty large. Matter of fact, the size of that picture is 1286 by 857.
That's messed up.
And that's from the New York Post.files website, right? .wordpress. So not saying that you should borrow that image or keep it or whatever, or keep it for yourself for posterity, but it's unusual that they would put a big giant image like that on the New York Post website. So I don't know if they know what they're doing or not.
They do. This is just my whole theory that mainstream media is not cooperating.
Yeah. So
that's
anyway.
a nice way of putting it.
But hey, if you would like to blow that up and look at it in a larger size, you can do that. But other than that, that's about all we have to talk about.
Okay.
But I'm glad you found the update, because when I looked for it, I couldn't find it. And I seen this a while ago, and it went up, and I was like, oh, man, that's pretty cool. And it's not that the article's not that old, because this was a relatively recent thing.
Well, the auction didn't close until, well, actually, okay, so the auction closed about 14 days ago.
Yeah, so it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't very long ago. But anyway.
I guess the listing price was $6 or something, and then the final price is what I gave you.
Yeah. So I thought it was kind of neat. I was like, what? And it's just a regular old flat, crappy looking 1970s style photo. But, hey, edit it up, do your own thing. You can make it look pretty. Maybe put it on your phone. Maybe you can print it out on some crappy computer paper and tape it on your refrigerator. Right? But anyway, there you go. I thought that was pretty interesting, and had to put that in there because, you got Zak Bagans buying stuff for his little museum, and then here comes the iconic X-Files inspired image from Billy Meyer, allegedly from Billy Meyer, of alleged UFOs taken in 1975. Yeah. And they have two pictures there that look like they are both the alleged image from X-Files, but whatever. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think that's about all I got.
Okay.
Yeah. What about you?
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's the holidays. I have holiday brain.
Yes.
But if you're interested in anything we talked about, be sure to check the show notes for each podcast episode. We're available on all major podcast players, so you'll be able to see those notes as you listen. Alternately, if you can't see them, go to CreepGeeks.com and you'll find them there. Join our Facebook group or like our page, and also hit follow so you can get notifications for all of these podcast episodes that we're doing.
Yeah. Why not? It's fun times.
Yeah.
Fun times. All right. Anyway, thank you very much for listening. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, get a hold of us. Other than that, be sure to stay tuned for our next episode, which would probably be after this one. Well, I don't know when people listen to this. It kind of depends. But anyway, our top 9 paranormal news and events of 2019, number 7, will be next.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's about all we got for today. So see you later. Take it easy. Bicycle.
Bye.